show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, HOV Medical, and Digicel. Sign up for Digicel Plus Home Light Bundles, faster internet, movies, and sports. Kathy Richards here with this edition of The Big Story. And as you can see, we're out of the studio today in a little more relaxed setting. And I'm here with Dr. Gino. Well, Dr. Gino is going to introduce himself to you because we're going to be talking about something that we all have shown so much interest in. Dr. Gino, I want to thank you so much for joining me on set today. Could you first introduce yourself to me?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. My name is Dr. Gino Natalichio. I'm the president of the Ponce Health Sciences University, which has campuses in Ponce in Puerto Rico, in San Juan in Puerto Rico, and in St. Louis, Missouri. And now we are coming to the BVI. Very excited to be here and very excited to be sharing this with you.
Awesome. When that news broke to the Virgin Islands, it was something that, I've not seen any negative comment towards because boosting the healthcare and healthcare facilities in the Virgin Islands is something that residents take very, very seriously. So give us a little background to your coming to the Virgin Islands and what the university will entail.
Well, the university is about 70 years old in Puerto Rico, so we have vast experience in medical education and in all our campuses in Puerto Rico and the US. So for BVI, I think it's to expand for an international medical school. We're coming to the island in a venture also. We're going to be at the college, the Leavitt College, so we're very excited to collaborate also with Dr. George, which is there. We were there yesterday, talking to them and looking at space and all of that. So we're very excited of that collaboration. And also we plan to staff the university, hopefully with local talent. Mm-hmm. We are looking for local talent, if somebody is listening, for administrative positions and for faculty as well. And we're bringing some faculty also from overseas to make sure that we have all the courses, put together. At the end of the day, we are going to have north of about 300 additional people in the island between students, wow, faculty, and staff, mm-hmm, which I think will be very good for the economy of the island, I mm-hmm, hope, but also for the possibilities of BVI residents and nationals to be able to participate in this venture. And just to premise, we're offering 2 full scholarships for BVI students that can apply and will, be admitted into the school.
Okay, so if you heard that, you run quick, and you're interested, run quick, so that your application could get in early and hopefully you'll be one of the 2. What I'm hearing from you, the university is not basically for only persons resident in the Virgin Islands. It's open to people throughout the Caribbean and elsewhere who may be desirous of attending?
Yes, there's a shortage of medical schools in general, medical training around the world. So we thought in the BVI, we could have local BVI students, obviously, but also students from the United States, from the UK, from Canada, and from all over the world. So right now we're doing the effort to recruit those students. Mm-hmm. We have already applications in due process. But of course, to get into medical school is a very stringent process and procedure.
Explain that process to me a little bit, as much as you could.
You need to apply, have a certain requirements. I won't list them here now because I don't want to misspoke in all of the requirements. We do have a dean who will be dedicated to the BVI. Mm-hmm. We also have a person who will be a head of operations in the BVI. Those 2 people will be on site in the BVI. Mm-hmm. So there is a process that we do in all our other medical schools. And we are accredited by ACCM, which is an accrediting agency based in Ireland that accredits international schools, not only in the Caribbean, but in other places of the world, like Spain or Turkey or other places that, they accredit the schools. So it's not only a Caribbean accreditation, it's an international accreditation. The students, once they graduate from the school, the first 2 years, they can go and do their clinicals in the United States, and then they can choose to come back here or stay there, but they'll be able to pass the United States boards as well, which is very important, I think, for all the students to have that capability.
Okay, so this is an entry stage into the medical field?
No, it's a medical school. It's 4 years, but we do 2 years in the British Virgin Islands, but then the clinical part of it, the rotations that they call, they need to go to hospitals that, we might do some rotations maybe here at the hospital as well, but, there's not enough space for all the students to do it here.
Okay. One of the things I think residents have been asking, and they're trying to get that from legislators, but I think you're the better person to respond to that, is what's the difference when it comes to enrollment and benefits between persons who will be traveling in to attend the school and persons who are resident here, bona fide BVI landers? Are there differences in terms of costs and all of that?
Well, the first benefit is the first two islanders that apply. We get a free scholarship basically to course all the degree for free. So that's the first benefit. After that, right now we're contemplating one tuition for everybody.
Okay.
We can always, figure out later on if there is a big demand to see if there is any difference between the two of them. But of course, if you're a resident of a citizen of the British Virgin Islands, you don't have the housing costs, for example, because you live here already. You don't have to buy a car. You don't have to do all these things that foreign students will have to do when they come here. So I think it's a big benefit, because otherwise any BVI citizen that wants to study medicine needs to go somewhere else. Now you have the opportunity of doing it here.
Okay. How many students you're looking for, and when you think the school will be up and running with all things going well?
Our plan, our first cohort will be in the end of July of 2025.
Okay.
We're starting with 50 students the first year. Then we're starting with 75 the second year. Then 100 the third year, 125, up to 150. Okay. And the reason for these numbers is because medicine is highly regulated. So we have a programmatic accreditor, as I said, ACCM. So that was the numbers they gave us to make sure that we grow the school in a regulated manner and in a conscious manner. So we don't start with 300 students and then you don't know what you're doing. And we did that in the other schools we had in Puerto Rico and in San Luis. So we're always trying to make sure that we have enough resources to serve the students. So that's where we grow. Maybe it's lower than other institutions, but the quality doesn't get compromised.
Okay. How many courses are there in the program, if you can recall?
I can recall there's about, it's not really about courses, because the first year you have, I think it's like 8 or 10 courses, second year 8 or 10 courses, and then you go into the clinicals. Okay. So the first year you have a little bit of anatomy, you have biology, you have chemistry, you have all the general sciences and regulated patients. Second year you continue with that, and then that's when you go to the clinical.
Okay, so it's a general family health nursing school. If persons want to be trained to, say, become gynecologists or any other specific area, is that the way it goes, or it's a general?
No, the first 2 years are more general, but the students go through 2 tests, and then with that they apply to clinical rotations in the specialties they like. So depending on their grades, they have a better chance to obtain those or not. So for example, you want to apply to gynecologist. Well, you find there's databases that the students use, and then with the grades and then the qualifications, they apply. And they apply also in the city they want to do it, in the hospital they want to do it. And then it really depends. It's a very competitive kind of situation for the students. So they really need to do well the first 2 years. So you'll see them studying a lot here for the first 2 years.
Okay. What about students who are currently overseas studying and now realizing that this university is going to be available here in the Virgin Islands? For some of them, it's home. For other persons, it may be closer to home, and they want to transfer into the Virgin Islands. Is that something that you'll be accepting?
We would definitely consider that on a one-by-one case.
Okay.
Because it has to do with curriculum. Is the curriculum the same in the other institution? Do they have the requirements that we have? So in a one-on-one case, we can consider that.
If it's from a Ponce?
Yeah. Or any other university, we can consider that possibility. However, it's hard for a student in year 2, for example, to transfer, because they're already applying to the clinicals based on their actual study courses. So kind of might delay their, their degree.
Okay. And for the rotation period, is there a specific route in which they can go in terms of, some may want to say, okay, I'll do my practical or theory, you call it practical.
The rotations. Yeah.
Rotate the rotations. You could do it in the U.S. You could do it in the United Kingdom or any other place in the Caribbean.
As I mentioned, it's a competitive kind of rotation. So one of the things that we have is that they're eligible to do it in the U.S. because the accreditation is valid in the U.S.
Okay.
They could choose to do it somewhere else, but then you need to understand: do you want your degree to be valid in the U.S. under BVI, or if you go to the U.K., you might not have a valid degree to operate in the U.S. unless you do convalidation and additional exams. But we prepare the students to take the U.S. boards, which is very important, I think, and that was part of when we discussed it with the government in BVI. That was one of the key things, that they're able to take the U.S. boards, which then they could actually work here in BVI as well.
Okay. And finally, I know you have to catch a flight.
Yes, I do.
And I don't want to hold you
No
up too
worries.
much. Quickly about the funding aspect of this thing. What's the cost like if you have an idea per year for students?
For students, the degree is about $60,000 per year, 60,000, and then you have the housing and all of these other elements that are in addition to it. Depends. That's what I'm saying. If you live in the BVI, you don't have that cost, but that's standard. We have a pricing that is very similar to other Caribbean schools. Actually, maybe a little less expensive, and definitely less expensive than some of the major, U.S. universities right now.
Awesome. In wrapping up, the floor is yours, the camera is yours, to say to the people of these Virgin Islands and those for the field who may be watching you at this time, what is that one message that you want to give to them?
Well, the first message is we're very excited to be here. We've been treated very well since we arrived with all the people in the BVI. We had a lot of collaboration from the authorities. The Premier definitely helped us. The Minister of Health also helped us. Dr. Georges at the Leavitt College also helped us, and the hospital as well. So we're very excited. We need to fine-tune some of the issues that we need to deal with, of course, as any new operation. And we're also looking at housing for the students and things like that. But the message really is we're very excited. We look forward to working the BVI, and we're forward also to include BVI nationals in our staff. We definitely, I'm all for people that can help us because they know the island, they know how it works, they know the people of the BVI, so instead of having to import people. And the contribution we can make economically. I guess I was saying before, all of a sudden you bring 300 to 500 new people to the island. That's an economic factor that is pretty substantial, I think, especially in the area of Tortola and all these areas here. And the students are going to be here 2 years. They're going to need to study a lot, but they're going to have fun as well. So
Exactly.
I think it's very good for everybody.
Awesome. Doc, thank you so much for the time you would have spent there with us. I know that your PR people said that you're going to be back and you're going to be holding an even bigger forum where probably all media houses can field questions to you. But I guess that this bit that we would have heard has given a whole lot of clarity to some of the questions that we may have had upon the announcement of this university coming to the Virgin Islands. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your time.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Are you searching for new home decor items that reflect the season's latest trends? Look no further than Right Way Home. From cushion sets to decorative vases, we have unique pieces to suit every style and budget. Discover your right fund at the right price, only at Right Way Home and Right Way Stores.